should have better Wi-Fi because I keep
Live.
on connecting.
So you say you found your dad's room? Well, like you can find it like an hour ago.
Yeah, my house is so big.
Shut up, we're live. Shut up. Oh, did you hear?
What's good, guys? We're live and we're back with another episode of the Ballers Flow podcast. Today we have the Lebanese Crisis, which is going to be hosted by our very own Andreas Joachim.
Come on, start clapping.
How you doing,
Come
man?
on.
How you doing, man?
Clap, Ollie, clap.
Yeah, really.
Come on, it's simple. Me,
Alright.
I
also got Alvaro here as well. Say hi.
Hello. Go ahead.
Yeah, you don't get a clap, man. So,
Okay.
He's doing a tutorial, by the way. Just so as
No, you can't do that. You can't do that.
No, that's not even.
We're live.
It's false information. It's a lie. It's a lie.
That's not a lie.
It's a lie. It's a lie.
It is a lie.
It's a lie. So basically, as I'm the only Middle Eastern here / the only Lebanese person here, I don't look it. I look more Caucasian than an Albino.
How funny.
Was I talking to you?
No, you look like an Arab. You look like an Arab.
Not look
I
Arab.
saw you for the first time. I thought you had an American accent. You have, yeah.
Yeah, my thanks was calm. So basically,
Oh.
if you get rid of that, yeah, circle, you might get some bitches on your dick. Anyway, can we start, please? We're gonna keep interrupting me.
Okay, we're gonna have to do this one now.
Okay. Yeah, it looks half normal now. Anyway, can I begin, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
So Lebanon, good old Lebanon. We all know it.
Continue.
We all know it. Reading the mic so heavily.
That's not me.
I don't know, it's Ollie.
I can't. I don't know where the mic. Oh, okay. It's because the mic.
Anyway, back to what I'm saying. We all know of it. We don't know about it. So, that's what I was talking about. So the 4th of August. The 4th of August, right? What happened, Alvaro? Tell me.
Well, I guess the 4th of August, as we all know, this summer there was a huge explosion in Beirut port, which
Huge one.
over 500.
Yeah. Okay.
500. Yeah, thousands of casualties.
This guy's such a neek. He made information that he knew firsthand look like he read it from a textbook.
Right. This, as you can see, this is the initial explosion. I watched a video about this. This is the initial explosion, right? So it goes poof, and then there's a shockwave. Okay. Now, what caused all this to happen here? Right. You can see what triggered it. Right. So, Beirut port. They've been storing 2,700 tons of ammonium nitrate, highly explosive chemical. It's used in fertilizers, but also to make explosives. It's been held there since 2013, maintenance very fucking badly in a warehouse. Okay, so you can see where this is going to go badly, right?
Yeah.
But they didn't care.
Well, we know.
No, yeah, in hindsight.
I think we all know, yeah.
But they didn't really fucking care. They're like, it's whatever. Nothing happened yet. Nothing's going to happen. So who is to blame? Who is at fault? Whose mistake was this? Obviously, at first, there were speculations. People said Israel, blah, 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 blah. Let's not get into that. Too political. I've read it. Shut up. Too political. Actually, I think it's very good thing to start with, actually. So, weeks before, I was in Lebanon, by the way. Weeks before, not even like a couple of days before, there were like Israeli jets flying above. So everyone kind of added it up and kind of said, right, it has to be Israel, right? Because even before, like just before the explosion, we heard jets flying over our house and then poof. But let's just say it's all a coincidence, right? Just to avoid any political beef. And we know it's a coincidence because we know what happened now. So who's at blame? Whose fault is this? It's the government, obviously, because they didn't want to take care of the ammonium nitrate. They didn't want to maintain it how the regulations say to maintain it. They just didn't want to because 1, it takes money. 2, they want money. 3, they're just lazy and they don't care. So I'm going to talk about the background first of the government. So the National Pact was signed in 1943 that kind of basically ended the rule, like the French rule, and made two states, Syria and Lebanon. Okay? We're all good so far? Cool. So
Okay, teacher. Mr.
yeah, okay. So in Lebanon, right, good old country, they wanted to make the government fair between all the different religions. Not that many, two, but we'll talk about that. So they wanted to make it fair. So what they did is they decided to make it that every major religion or every like part of a major religion gets a say in parliament. So the president has to be Maronite Christian. The prime minister has to be Sunni Muslim, and the parliament speaker has to be Shia Muslim. Now, this is all fair. This seems like a good idea, right? No conflict, no beef at all so far. But this is where it goes bad. Then they decided the seats were set to 6-5. That's what it's going to be 6-5 on the Christian behalf, right? So Christian had the clear advantage, more seats in parliament. Muslims didn't like it, justifiably. So beef kicked off, right? And this imbalance of power between the two religions dragged the country into a 15-year-long civil war. Now, obviously, this wasn't only Muslim Christians, like Lebanese Muslims. Palestine got involved because we weren't actually that tight with Palestine then. So they got involved. It was just big beef, pretty much. And in 1989, this is was considered the beginning of the end of the Civil War. And what happened, the Taif Agreement was signed. And what it did was to make the government more fair. It transferred like a lot of the president's power to the cabinet. And this wasn't fair because the Muslims didn't have the equal seats, right? So what they further did to increase fairity, they increased the number of Muslim MPs. So they balanced the seats out to 6-6 to avoid any conflict. So they have the same seats. The president, which is a Christian, his power got reduced. The cabinet can decide which has Muslims in it. So it's all kind of fair, all bubbly, all good, right? Now, but the thing is, though, this you can still see as it's still like a new country at the time. Like a new independent country. It was weak. It was fragile. Now, this is where it gets a bit off. Now, in 2005, I was born.
Yeah, no one cares.
I was born. We were born. The world became a better place, obviously. But one thing happened that wasn't a good thing. So in 2005, Rafiq Hariri, which was the prime minister, he was killed in a car bomb. He was assassinated. Now, no one knows who it was at all. People say Hezbollah. People say it's not Hezbollah. No one knows.
It was me.
No one still knows. So, did you say it was you? Cool. Back to what I was saying. Now, this, like the fact that he got like assassinated in his car, with no one knowing who it was, this split Lebanon. This brought diversity to the country. Because some people. Yes, you're supposed to do this one.
It's not a dead question. I'm not putting my hand up. You're not a history teacher.
I'm a history teacher.
I guess my question is, would you say that the reason the conflict started was because half the country thought it was Hezbollah, half the country thought it was someone else? I don't know what other entity could be responsible, but I guess
isn't that what I just
that's
said?
The reason for the conflict.
Isn't that what I just said?
No, but you didn't really make it clear. You're like, oh, I don't know why it started.
Okay.
It's kind of unclear.
Basically, yes, Alvaro. Actually, shut the fuck up. Let me answer this question.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Basically, what happened, right? Because no one knew who assassinated the guy, you can already see, like, oh, this is going to start some beef in an already weak country, right? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't need an answer to it, right?
I kind of want to go back to what I was saying, but I'll answer your question, please.
Oh, yeah, no, sorry. I don't know if this is a bit. I guess I could have asked this before, but I didn't want to interrupt your flow. I was just wondering, in terms of the way kind of government is sorted, is it? Maybe you don't know this, but is positions of government basically, are those positions given according to the percentage of the population, which is Maronite, Christian, etc., or is everyone given?
No. First of all, I don't like how disrespectful that question is. It's talking about you might not know this. I know this, right? So what happened? It's got nothing to do with percentage. It's got nothing to do after the war or before they agreed that the president has to be Maronite Christian. The prime minister has to be Sunni Muslim, and the parliament speaker has to be Shia Muslim. Nothing about percentage, nothing about elections. They have to be. So you cannot be a Muslim and run for president, pretty much. Understood?
Yeah, I understand that.
Now back to what I was saying.
No. Before we
What do you
move
want?
on, I just kind of want clarity on what a Maronite Christian is, because I know you're Catholic. I know the difference.
A Maronite Christian is a fucking Maronite quit. Like, what is a Sunni Muslim? Is a Sunni Muslim?
It's a denominator Muslims that follow. Like, I think the 5 pillars they follow. But what is it about?
I don't fucking know.
Maronite Christian. Are you not a Maronite Christian?
Wait, no, I'm Catholic.
So I don't know what the difference is. Tell me the difference. I can tell you the difference between an Orthodox Christian, a Pentecostal Christian.
Okay, wait, you know what, guys? Orthodox, Greek Orthodox. Oh, yeah, that's true, actually. Also, like, Greek Orthodox and other, like, smaller sects are actually included in the government, but, like, very low, so no one gives a fuck about them. Huh?
I mean, I think the Maronite, it's got attributes which is kind of similar to the Orthodox. I think.
I like that. You can sort all this RS waffle. I'm not on this. History teacher.
It's not RS waffle. It's literally Lebanese waffle, man.
Well, not really, because if you can let me get back.
Wait, what's interesting? I'm just reading this quickly. It says that shares many attributes of the surrounding Orthodox churches, but the Maronite is in full communion with Rome and accepts all the Pope's teachings.
So it's a mixture, basically.
It's basically a hybrid, yeah.
Are we happy?
Yeah,
I'm happy with that.
Okay, so I'm going to go off the screen. So if you do this, I'm not going to see it. So you'll be ignored. Back to what I was saying.
There's no reason
because,
to do that.
No, because I want to see my nose. But I'm back now. So basically, because he got assassinated, no one... I've already seen it's acceptable in class.
Good, go ahead.
Since it's acceptable thing to do in class.
You! Class? Settle?
Yeah. That's what I was doing. Back to what I was saying, right? Because no one knew what had happened, right? Like, who did it? This split the country, right? So what happened? There were two like camps / sectors that were set up, right? One was called March 8th and the other is called March 14th, right? And basically what they are is they are supported by different international countries and different people in Lebanon. So March 14th was supported by Saad Hariri, the son of Rafiq Hariri, and international backings of Saudi Arabia and America, US of A. And March 8th was supported by Michel Aoun and Hezbollah. This man gets bad. And supported by Syria and Iran. So you can already see, with America backing one and the other one being backed by Hezbollah, it's just not stable. And the fact that like the country is split into these two very different ideologies sort of kind of already brings some conflict. And it kind of just made like an unstable government even more unstable. It just it didn't really go well for them. And because they have to like support what like their international, like if USA said something, they support it, right? If Saudi Arabia said something, they support it. But at the same time, on the other side, on March 8th, if Syria said something, they support it. And if Iran said something, they have to support it. And this goes back because America and Iran are like, they're not allies, right? So this just doesn't, it just makes an unstable government further unstable, right? So then, but the thing is though with it hasn't led the country to a full-out proxy war, like guns and violence and like another civil war. But what it actually did was cause Lebanon to be a victim of political paralysis, right?
Ooh.
So
Ooh.
what had happened?
No.
Big words, big words, more
Big
than one
words.
syllable. Big and better things. What had happened, right, is that the government couldn't agree on any policies, right? So one sector wanted to do one thing, the other didn't want to, so they didn't end up doing it. So in 2016, we had a massive, like a huge, like crisis in like garbage because they didn't agree on where to dispose of it. So it was just kind of like fuck it, and they just left it on the streets. So that kind of just shows how bad like that made the government. The fact that they couldn't agree on anything in a region with already conflict, it just doesn't, you know. But this good, great government. What could they agree on? What could they agree on? Corruption.
Ooh.
Big old corruption. So what they would do. So what had happened, right? What had happened was they would impose taxes that people didn't like. So, for example, what tipped people off the edge to then revolt and all this was they put a tax on just like random shit.
What's up?
Yeah, I was getting to that, so you would just not interrupt me. Do this when you want to speak. Much appreciated. So they would tax random shit. They taxed WhatsApp calls because they wanted money, and this pissed people off. It was like the last, what's the saying? Like last straw or some shit.
Yes, the last straw. Yeah, the catalyst.
Yeah, the catalyst.
Triggered.
Shut up. So what happened? People were upset. People were angry, and they just started, revolting. Yeah, did you put your hand up? What do you want?
No, it's just sign language for
okay. I
don't understand.
This isn't it. Yeah, shut up. So this good old government, what they did very well was they brought the country into the world's third highest debt to GDP ratio of 80 billion US dollars.
That's a lot.
So they started taxing the people, right? You would say surely this would work. It brings money to the people. But where did this money go?
The government.
Straight to their pockets. They kept ill. So people were upset. People were aggravated. People were angry. People were just full on pissed off. So they took to the streets. They weren't having it. They weren't having any of it. So what did this do? Like, what did this do? This brought around the economic economic crisis. And if you'd like to see something on my phone, this is talking about the
insane inflation. But yeah, show it to the audience.
So this is the inflation rate. Kind of got on my laptop, have on my phone. It's what you get really. So, for fuck's sake, shut up. So I have to open it again.
Yeah, I guess
in the meantime,
I got it back. Okay. So if you want to see here, 2016, the inflation was minus 0.82%. 2017, 4.48%. 2018, 4.55%. 2019, this is where it gets bad. 2019, 2.90, and then 2020, 91.6%.
I mean, any
2.9%, any rate of inflation is very, very good. Like the UK's inflation rate is never above like 2.
Exactly.
91.6%.
That's ridiculous. Like that. I mean,
in 2020.
You saw that at the start of the collapse.
That's from 2 to 91. But
you're going from deflation a couple of years ago to
2000. It's not a couple of 4 years ago, but yeah. But what made this worse was this was before the explosion. This is just 2020 in general, right? And then
what was the problem? You think?
Look me in the eyes and ask that question.
What do you think the problem was?
The government, as I said.
But what kind of government How bloody evil do you have to
Let me just
to make the
Very.
inflation
No.
rate go from
That's the thing.
no. That's not just evil. That is stupid.
Fuck,
No.
it's
How can one government not
Mm.
terrorism, not bomb, not
Thieves.
flood, not
speak.
anything. It's the government. Thieves.
The government.
They
Thieves.
stole
That's
so
a good
much
word.
money.
That's a good word. That's a great
They
word.
stole-
Thieves. Right, that's what they are. And if you argue it, you can have fun arguing, but they are thieves. They take money from the people. They have no regards. And like, let's say they did care, right? Let's say after stealing money, for some reason they cared. They would do shit by now because there are riots, there are protests, that people are upset, people are angry. It even hurt to fucking research the shit, seeing people cry on fucking being in interviews on what the government did to them personally and nationwide, affect this corruption. I've already had a hand up. Right,
Yeah.
please, I'll get to your question, mate. Like what it had done to like the people and how upsetting it was to them. Actually, fucking hurts to watch. Alvaro, you can ask a question, mate.
I was just gonna. It's not really a question, but I was just gonna add to what you said about the increasing level of inflation. I was also wondering, surely you have to take into account the kind of effects COVID has had as well, in terms because tourism is also a big part of Lebanon.
Tourism, I like that.
So surely that has also contributed to the inflation. It's not only the government.
No, I never said it was only the government. I said there's a main reason for it happening, because even before this inflation rate spiked up to 91.6%, there were protests. People were angry at the government already, right? Because of how corrupt they were. The people were upset. People wanted change. And like in 2009, the prime minister resigned, right? 2019, sorry. The prime minister resigned. That wasn't enough for people. So what had happened, they tried changing the government a tiny bit. That still wasn't enough for people. So people took it to the street and said, "Killon yani killon," which basically means everyone. They want them everyone. They want the whole government gone, pretty much.
But are the elections?
This was before. No, but it's not even about the like president or anything. They want this like the way the government is set up. They want to change it to make it just less religious based.
The Weimar Constitution 1920s vibes, but yeah, that's some pretty.
I'm honest, like I'm a history teacher, yes, but I'm very level to the knowledge of history I have. So 1920, 1960s, Great Depression, I don't really care. Yes, I just learned from the textbook and say to you not. So yeah, but like I was saying, like people already before this inflation rate spiked up. Obviously, COVID had some doings in this thing, but like
they had a big, it still had.
The fact that people already wanted the government gone before that even happened, kind of shows they are at fault. They are at blame.
Mm-hmm.
Like people are out on the streets, people trying to break into the government buildings. They would like that shit is like people are getting injured. People fighting the army. Like some of the army didn't want to be there, but they have to because that's their duty, right? So they do it. But people were fighting. People getting injured. People getting shot. But like. They wanted this idea. They wanted the way the government was set up to completely change, but this wasn't being given to them because they simply just do not give a fuck. They simply do not care about the people. All they care about is the money, and they're getting that money, right? But what's happening now because of after this explosion, the government, right? This is where people start really getting pissed off. Is the state was not present. If like I'll explain what I mean. Like the explosion happened, we were offered help. We were offered help from everyone. Israel, our biggest enemies, offered us help. Now, in my opinion, if we took that shit, that could have been a step forward to peace. Like obviously, but it didn't happen, right?
Sorry. You're the same guy that said no, we can't take it.
No, I didn't say that. That was because I was angry. No, because at the time, all I was being told because I was in Lebanon was it's Israel, right? That's all I was being told because I was there.
I was telling you, it can't be. It can't be.
No, but you need to understand. You need to understand. You need to understand. I saw that shit first, like a week after. I saw it with my eyes, myself, my body.
I was next day.
That's true. I was in Beirut. I saw the damage that happened with my own eyes. Buildings I recognized. gone, holes in them, the port fucked. The place I go by every year, right? I saw with my own eyes. It pissed me off. It pissed everyone off. And all I would hear is it's Israel. So obviously I would start to believe it's Israel, right? Like that's not even my fault. But after I came to my senses, I chilled out a bit. You can clearly see it was just the government is to blame. So Israel offered us help. No, you make mistakes like that. I'm sorry, but like I was in the place.
You can't do it. It's Israel. It's America.
I have pictures on my phone.
It's America.
I have pictures on my phone of first point of view of myself seeing this bullshit. You need to understand when you see it different from
who's going to think, there's going to be some ammonium deposits left there for 7 years, which
that's what I mean.
Exploded, like. And
also, if you add it up, me hearing jets above the fucking building I was in, if you add it all up, it's not a complicated thing. Israeli jet for a week, then a jet and an explosion. What are you going to believe?
No. Sorry. You
Mexico? It's Argentina?
You told me a spy dropped a bomb next to the ammonium nitrate.
That's a fire.
Told me a spy dropped a bomb next to the
I didn't say spy, I said Israel. I said Israel jet dropped a bomb.
How would they drop a bomb and detonate? How it detonates a day later?
No, I didn't say a day later. You're not listening to me. When the explosion happened, just before we heard a jet fly overhead, like a and then we heard a right, and then glass shaking. You're telling me you're not going to be like 1 + 1 = 2, 2 + 2 = 4, and then bam, it's Israel, right? That's the logical thing. Everyone was angry as well. That's the logical thing to believe. Now, as an outsider, I can see why, like, I don't know, it's bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay,
my logic is always great.
No, but you need to understand that's of an outsider's point of view. Like I saw like firsthand. It's heartbreaking. But back to what I was saying, the state was not present when this happened. So they did not like. So when Israel offered help, I understand why they said no. That's like Hezbollah wouldn't accept us saying yes, and I don't think that's the right thing. Obviously, to be fair, when I came to my senses, I kind of wanted them to take the help because that's a step to peace. And then we could build an ally, a rich ally especially, and it just helps the country all together, and then less war for us, and it's just more peace in the country. The stability of the country will be like more stable because we can work on our own issue instead of working on that issue. But so yeah, obviously I kind of, when I came to my senses, I really wanted to take it, but they didn't. And then Aid with No Borders or some shit like that, I forgot what it's called. They also offered us help. They offered food, medical aid, and what does the government do? No, thank you. We don't want it. We don't need it, even though we did need it. Right? And then this really, again, pissed people off. And then furthermore, they would not allow rescue teams to go out and get people out of the rubble at night, which that makes no sense. So people that could have survived died. Right? And who has the blood on their hand? The government. They have the blood. Like, these people could be alive right now, but they're not. Like this one guy, he survived 2 hours under the rubble. No, sorry, not 2 hours, like a day, 2 days. And he could have been out quicker if they just allowed rescue teams to go out like that, but they didn't. They didn't want it. Right? And they knew the ammonium nitrate was there. So why, when the fire started, they could have started evacuation? I don't know. They didn't want to. Okay? But
yeah, they didn't want to take responsibility.
The state wasn't present after the explosion. I was watching videos, people that go and help were angered at the government because no one came forward and said, I will help. No one came to the streets and said, I will help. No one in the state cleaned up the glass with the people. That was fully teenagers, like 17, 18, 20-year-olds, young people that went out to the streets and did it themselves because the state didn't want to do it. The state didn't want to take responsibility. When an international investigation was asked to be set out, what does the government do? Deny it because they knew they were at hand. They knew it was their fault. And this pissed people, like this really angered people. So the riots are really fucking bad. Everything's just really bad there over there now. And people are leaving. That's just the truth. People have given up on the country.
Yeah, you saw.
And these are.
There were like you could see just queues.
Oh yeah. It was.
I'm pretty sure there are more Lebanese living outside in Lebanon.
Yeah. It's always been like that because of just the war history of the country. But the problem is now these people that have stuck with their country through like the tough of it, through the civil war, through the 2006 war with Israel and all that, are now giving up on the country completely and said, you know what, we're leaving. And obviously you can see why this is bad, less tax, even though the tax didn't go out to the people, straight to the government's pocket. But you see what I mean? Like, without people, that you need people. Like, change starts with the people. But people have given up to the point where they're just leaving the country. They don't even want to help that country because they've given up completely. They're saying, we're leaving. They tried getting British passports to America. They've just left. Everything to do to leave. Now, how would this be stopped? The government comes out and says, we'll help. With the money we stole from you, we will help. They accept help from the other countries. They ask for the international investigation, even though pin it on them. They do all this to help the people. Now, obviously, they're not going to do that because they don't give a fuck about the people. Yeah. Right? They're there for the money. They want their pockets full, pretty much.
No, I think. Can I just say? I think what they've noticed.
Yeah.
And I don't think to begin with the government was like, oh, we're gonna ruin the country. But I think now that they've seen that they've done such a bad job, they're like, we might as well get away with the money as much.
No. They've been taking money for a long time. This is not like some new thing.
Their primary instinct wasn't to destroy Lebanon. I think just now, the fact that they've just messed up so badly, they're just like, we might as well take all the money we can whilst we can.
But it's not like they've added any taxes. That's still like it's the same amount. It's just they're just.
Yeah, I know. As
the people said, through their lives of helping, like the thick of Lebanon, the state is never present. They're never there. They're never there to help, and you can see how bad the government made the economy. It's like not just now, but electricity wouldn't be running all day, right? There'd be random cuts because they just would be, or like at midnight and 2 a.m. they would cut off the electricity. And during the day, there'll just be random cuts. But this got really bad recently, like before, I said just after the explosion, like just before the explosion, where there'd be electricity like, a couple hours a day. So all of night, electricity would be cut off. But like some places had their own generators. So the people I knew there, they were fine. Yeah, the people I knew there, they were fine. Like my friends and shit, they were calm because the place they were staying was their own like private compound, with like tons of apartment blocks and shit. So they had their own electricity. But the people relying on the electricity that was provided by the government didn't have a lot at all. They couldn't rely on it. It wasn't a trustworthy source. So they were just toughing out with no electricity for a lot of the day. And just because they didn't pay for it. However, go on.
I was just wondering.
Why are you man actually? I'm joking.
No, I was just wondering. You take this blame, I guess, if you go back to 1943 and the way the British kind of split up the Middle East. Could you blame the UK and the British? France. Oh yeah, and France.
Are control of Syria and Lebanon.
In terms of the Middle East as a whole, and France.
Yes, of course you can. Honestly, the conflict in the Middle East was generally caused by France, the UK, and America. It's their fault. Now, I'm not saying it's their fault what happens in Lebanon. I'm saying in the Middle East as a whole, an unstable region in the world is their fault. Because you can't come to somewhere with so much like religion and so much like you can like the borders are practically straight. They basically, right, piece of paper, ruler, just bloody went, and that's a fucking border, right? Now,
it's like giving
the reason this started an issue was you can't just do that in such a like in an area with so much religion, because if you split up a religious town and put it with a whole other religious town, that conflict each other, like Sunni and Shias, right? They have conflict, right? Now with these flat borders, these mix them together, starting even more conflict and just made it unstable. And then furthermore, with Israel being placed in already an unstable area and a complete opponent with such a strong army that was given to them, made more of an issue, because it's kind of like, who the fuck are you? You don't belong here. You don't look like us. You don't speak like us. You don't eat like us. You're just not like us. You're not supposed to be here. Like that's like narrowed down, right? So this kind of made so much conflict that it was so unstable, and then oil was found, and then America was like, shit, comes in, bombs everything, right? Causing more conflict, because it's like, right, you mixed up the religions, you added this whole new country to this region that's already unstable because of the West, and then now you come and bomb us. You can, like, it angers, like it you can see why war was caused. Now that's got nothing to do with Lebanon. That's just like on the Middle East as a whole. Like, they're completely to blame for the instability of the region. Like, obviously they didn't know what they were doing at the time, but what I'm saying is it's not like no one wants war. It's not like something that's someone you want. So they're to blame for making such shitty borders. They're to blame for placing a country that really they knew would start conflict. Now I'm saying, look, obviously I'm not blaming it. Like, I'm not blaming the Jewish religion. I'm blaming America for putting it there. I know that it's got religious meaning.
But
No, I mean, like, for Israel being there, yeah. But I know it's got, like, religious meaning. It's like you're not going to put it in, like, Africa or South America. I know it's like it's got religious meaning there, but like it kind of just started, and it started an issue that could have been like just not started. But
yeah, no, I think what the
and then
British,
giving them such a strong army kind of made it bad as well, because it's like this put army above Palestine's army, above the Lebanese army, above the Syrian army, and it's kind of just like that is an unfair thing. And that's what started the whole Arab-Israeli war.
Yeah, that was
because they're there.
I just wanted to add one bit in, talking about kind of how the British, I guess, manipulated the Middle Eastern, I guess, states and everything. I also think, like, looking at it now, if you look at the way they've put, I mean, Iran, you've got a majority of Shias. In other countries, you've got a majority of Sunnis.
Right. Yeah.
And it's just they have no regard to kind of the religious geopolitics.
Exactly.
And they've completely pretty much just disregarded that, thought, nah, it's not important.
And they mixed it up together. They mixed up those religions.
Which is total.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
along for 5 years, but there's obviously going to be divides.
And like already, like, look, we know, like, Sunni and Shias, they have problems together, right? Like, they have issues with each other, and mixing them together, like, let's say there's a town, right? This is town A, this is town B. Okay, town B dislikes town A because town A's views on the same religion. Now they are close, okay, but what happens here is people that are just there because they're strong takes town fucking B, splits it in half, and puts these people that believe something completely different as these people here or near them, and takes these people on the other side to a complete other place that they are not familiar with. That will start an argument between these people, and what it also does, it cuts off water sources, because some of these borders go straight through them. That started arguments. It cuts off oil supply because these borders just plumped right on it, and it starts conflict. Now, let's say this never happens, and the Middle East is one happy, big ally. Every country gets along with each other. Then Israel's place, that causes another conflict. So it kind of all just, it's like for the whole Middle Eastern issue, you can't blame any, like, Middle Eastern country. It's all America. It's the West, pretty much. It's Britain, France, and
I mean, yeah, they have got a lot to do with, because
they're the blame.
The conflict that's been sparked, which has mostly been between religious groups, has basically all been down to the UK and the US. And
like, at the end of the day,
and also recently to get the oil and
right. That causes more of an instability. Like, if they know they're to blame for the instability. Like, you have to know that type of shit. And then just bombing them for oil is like, bro, you put a country stronger than us in our fucking region that start beef with us, and then you come with your fighter jets and bombing planes and just fuck the country over just for some oil, which you have in Alaska. They have oil reserves in Alaska.
And now
but they just want more. They've got coal reserves. They've got enough to carry their economy. But they're like the Middle East. Come on, fuck it, let's go bomb.
Yeah.
But I just want to bring it back to Lebanon quickly.
Okay.
But like with everyone leaving and everyone living up on the country, just the beauty of the country is being lost. Like I'm gonna share some pictures now. Like I get like right now everything's happening. I get why people are leaving. You can't blame them. But shit like hold on. Shit like this is being lost. It's being left over. It's just we've got these mountain ranges and villages and just beautiful shit like this that are just being left behind because people are giving up. Now, Beirut itself had a clear improvement. Like we started having high-rise glass buildings, beautiful high-rise glass buildings, resorts, cruises coming in, and it's just being left. And I understand why it's being left, but without like change starts with the people and everyone leaving. Like I don't blame people for leaving, but like everyone leaving, it kind of doesn't look good. It doesn't look like there'll be change. And I feel people only stay if the state gets involved and helps the country improve and decide, you know, this is our fault. This is our fuck up. We're going to help. Go to the streets with the people and then helps. Or just resigns as a whole. That would help as well.
But I guess the question is what are the Lebanese people going to do? What's their next step? Because the government's doing things, but are they going to launch a coup? Are they going to,
leave?
The next step?
Some will leave. Do you think?
Yeah, but if
no, this is what's going to happen. Some will leave. Some will stay and protest. That's it. But a lot are leaving because they've given up. They've got a family abroad, so they're like, we'll just stay with them because we don't want to stay in the show anymore because it's fucked.
Do you think at an earlier stage, the people could have done something to kind of prevent this from happening?
Because they've been protesting. They've been protesting. And they've been protesting for change. They just didn't get change because the government decides they're not going to give it to them. And they are helping, bro. They're cleaning up the streets. Like, all the rubble and glass that was taken off the streets wasn't by the state. This was by Lebanese people. This was by young people, 20-year-olds. Foundation made by young people. And they cleaned everything up. They moved the rubble. Like, they did it quickly as well. I have to give it to them. They moved glass and rubble out the way quickly. It was clean. It wasn't clean, but like, if you see the explosion, the damage it does, the glass was off the street. You could drive your car without being scared, like, oh shit, the tire will get popped through glass. That was clean. Rubble, like, there wasn't rocks and shit on the road. They honestly did a good job on cleaning it. But
that's definitely
the people can't do much apart from protest and try to get change. But with Hezbollah and the army backing the government, the people on it, like, they'll try. Some will leave, some will try. But I don't think they can really bring change without the government starting to like help them, if that makes sense. Because they've been protesting change. It's always been change. It's always been.
In what regard? Is it like change?
They don't want this government. They don't want like. So
one of the elections
in like 20, like in a year ish. But like that's the thing. But that's the problem. Like as I said, like earlier. It's not like they want the president gone or the prime minister gone. They want the whole
constitution
government change exactly because
but
when the
what
prime minister is but that just changes the president and the prime minister.
No,
that doesn't change.
You said, I think you said this yesterday. You said
I didn't understand it enough. I'm not gonna lie, but
I think you said that the democracy was kind of flawed and that they didn't vote for.
What I mean is
for the people in the seats. Isn't
so
that
basically,
the government?
The people. I don't know if I've got this wrong, but let's just say that right. The people voted for the people in the government, and then the government versus the president.
Yeah.
So even if a new president comes along, that's not enough for the people.
No, but the people are voting for a new government, not the president. They're voting for
no. This election is the president, so it's not going to do anything.
There are two different elections.
I mean, I don't fucking know what I'm probably.
But
either way,
I'm guessing here, but I think it's kind of
similar to Britain
that there's like it's not really bipartisan. It's just they're voting for like different seats. for different people.
By
I think it's like that. And then
change.
that those people in the government work for the president. I think it's like that. I think in that regard, it could actually bring about some change.
Corona. Yeah, cop in silence. That's right.
Man left, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, it's time for the
I
intermission.
inhaled some fucking. No, wait, I've got more to add. I just inhaled fucking
I was gonna do an
dust.
intermission.
I'm back though. No, we're nearly done this time.
Yeah.
But that isn't like so when the prime minister resigned not too long ago, people weren't happy because like they went out to the streets, they still protested, they were screaming, kill Lunyan, which means all of them means everyone. Everyone means everyone. All of them means all of them. Get rid of fucking everyone, pretty much. So they want to just remake how the government is built on like how it's like so religiously based. So they want it to work. Like the people really want it to work, but a lot have given up on the fact that it will work. So they're leaving, they just cut, going to better places like America, the UK, just Europe, making a better life for themselves. But just changing the president and the prime minister won't help. They just want a new government in place.
Talking about a new government, we've discussed this before, Andreas, with I guess Macron coming in and how Macron's quite popular in Lebanon and how
He's given up.
He's given up.
Nah, because of everything, all the tension in France, because of the Charlie Hebdo.
Yeah.
How they drew the Prophet Muhammad in like a disgusting way, and just like the threats and like the terrorist threats they're getting. So he's got his own issue to deal with. I don't blame the guy.
Yeah, no, but do you think the Lebanese population
people wanted to be recolonized?
That's how bad this is.
People were saying it. We are happy for France to come in and rule us again.
Yeah.
Because people love Macron. They fucking love him.
I mean, in France they hate him, but yeah, in Lebanon,
But in Lebanon, because it's the only person that at the time came to the country and said, "I'm helping."
Yeah.
Right. Like Boris, he gave money to the government. People are like, what the fuck are you doing? Right? Macron, on the other hand, didn't do that. He came to the country, went to where the people were and walked there and talked to them. He stopped the people and talked to them.
The prime minister or president.
Yeah. So basically what happened, he was hugging the people in the streets. He was shaking their hands. But when the president came in to like hug or shake his hand, Macron basically said no because of Corona.
Yeah.
Basically saying fuck you. And the people loved it because it's kind of like you're on our side when no one else is. But it's not going to happen because of just the tension.
Yeah. But that would also help.
France.
That would also help a lot with the conflict with Israel. I mean, if you have France on your
side, yeah, 100%.
Because the US is not going to bomb Israel, Lebanon if you've got France.
No, the US won't bomb Israel. Won't bomb Lebanon anyway. We're allies with the US, but it's about it. Like it's about how the conflict will deal with. Because if France is in control, Hezbollah will have less of a say. So the conflict with Israel will be kind of like stopped. But it's not going to happen.
There's also a conflict between Hezbollah and the French, which that could.
The France will shit on them. Actually, to be fair, they might not.
I mean,
in 2006, in 2000, Hezbollah is strong. Like Hezbollah is very strong. They were able to like send back Israel in 2006. But the difference, to be fair, is that back then the people were backing Hezbollah against Israel. If France comes, I don't think they will back Hezbollah. I think they'll back the French, especially the Christians.
If the French did come in, the question is how much would they prioritize Lebanon along with France? But because honestly, I think
they won't know. It's not a chance.
Lebanon would be second to
second to the second.
No.
Bro, even if that's third, that is enough for the country. That is enough to help from this, bro. It's enough for like how they're treated already from the current government to how they would be treated if they were the second priority or the third priority, because they wouldn't be stealing the money from the people. The state would be present if something like this happened. They would be there to help the people. They'd be on the street with them, as we saw with Macron. But they would just altogether be treated better. Now, as I said, with everything being left behind in Lebanon, the beauty of the country being left behind, the thing the media doesn't show pretty much, which just pissed me off, is how the media does show the Middle East compared to, or like
Wait.
compared to how it
Before you go on, I kind of do want to touch on something quickly, like on a more realistic front. For the future of Lebanon, do you think that if the kind of the government system, voting system changed to the extent that it wasn't based on religion anymore, it was more based on merit and giving the democracy more of a chance to succeed, do you think that would maybe give Lebanon a chance to recover?
Completely, because there would be less chance of, because basically the government has too much shade, pretty much, right? So there would be less chance of corruption. There'll still be corruption.
Oh no,
that's just how it goes.
Yes, there's gonna be
but the chance of like the whole government corrupt is so much less. It's because like it's in the people's control. We don't like this guy. We stick out, then we get a new president in what we want. What they have to do now is we'll vote for these smaller people because they're the best option out of the three, for example. But they're still shit. But we'll take them because they're the best that we can get. And then after this, it's in their control.
Do they have? There's no atheist atheist not allowed.
Atheist?
Yeah.
There's no atheist. There's no Jew. There's no like.
But also, if you allow a complete democracy, surely basically the majority of the population, I don't know what exact religion.
It's kind of like half. It's like more Christian.
It wouldn't be for the Jews, I can tell you that.
No. Obviously,
it wouldn't be for the Jews.
If you've seen in Iraq and stuff.
No, but the thing is though, right?
But that wait, just speak, Andreas. Surely, if you let basically there to be freely democratic, so you don't have to have people from certain religions in certain spaces. That's what's happened in loads of Middle Eastern countries, and look at the conflicts that have happened. Where basically
they're predominantly Muslim, but they're predominantly Muslim.
For one, and for two,
we've got the most Christians in the Middle East.
It's half. It's actually like
it's literally half. It's like 49%
Christian.
It's very close.
Worse.
No, but the thing is though, is you need to understand that the whole country is Beirut. There's more Christians, right? Beirut, like around that region, it's predominantly Christian.
Yeah.
And then there's smaller villages that are also Christian, but some are Muslim. And then it goes to like South Lebanon and shit like that, or North Lebanon, which is also predominantly Christian. Now, if it works how America's election works, some have more like Torah votes than others. If it does that in regions, the Christian regions will have more like Torah votes because there's just more people in the Christian regions.
Yeah, but
even though there's more Muslims, but it's like less dispersed, if that makes sense.
It's like those Republicans who say, look how much red there is on the map.
Yeah, exactly. But it'd be kind of like these Muslims are living in villages.
In poor areas.
Like, not poor, the whole country is poor, but like they're living in like whole like small villages and shit, or like big like small cities. But Beirut itself isn't very big; it's fucking tiny. But it's predominant, like the biggest city in the country, Beirut, it's predominantly Christian. But again, obviously, it'll start conflict. But it's better than having what we have now of a state that doesn't care about the people, because the people didn't bring the state brought itself, if that makes any fucking sense, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
So I feel like if it has full democracy, that would be good for the country. But being realistic, for that to happen, like that, what am I trying to say? Realistically, that happening isn't realistic. Like that just, I don't know, that it won't happen, right?
Yeah, it won't happen.
Until these protests work and the state have enough and they resign. But they won't, because
you need international.
They've got money in their pockets. They're fine. They're good. So they've robbed the people.
You need international pressure, I think, along with the people.
Yeah, of course. That's why people. That's why people are happy with
army against the government. Is the army already?
You can't. No, but the army is there to serve the government. Like there's some videos of like soldiers. There's some videos of soldiers like sympathizing with the people, but they have to stay. That's what they do because once the army leaves, once the Lebanese army switches sides, he will come in instead. That's Hezbollah. Hezbollah's there to protect the government now because he is in power. He has power, and then once that happens, civil war. Because now you've got the army against the militia, which is strong, by the way, very fucking strong. They're practically an army. That causes civil war. So I think the army knows this, so that they're not going to switch sides because they want to avoid that.
Yeah.
On the people's behalf as well, you have to give them credit. Like, but
what you don't want is the US or like some foreign country saying, "Oh yeah, we're going to help take down Hezbollah," and then the thing.
The US will come and fuck over us. If they do anything, they fucked it. They'll ruin it. They'll come in and they'll be like, you know what, just bomb the place. It's fine. Oil. We don't have oil, but they'll probably think we have oil. They're fucking idiots.
Yeah,
to be fair, we've got natural gas, so they can take that. They can steal that if they want. But for that switch, if the army switches, it's probably worse than good. It'll do shitty things for the country, and that's why people were so happy that Macron came. It's because they saw that there might be international pressure on the government changing, which there was for a bit until we had to stop, which meant that people were like, maybe this will change it. Maybe this will stop because of foreign countries here. Our ally is here on the people's behalf, but it never happened. So
I think
if there's international pressure, that would be good for the country.
Especially now with COVID, countries are prioritizing themselves. So maybe in the
future, of course. And I think that's very justifiable, especially on France's behalf with what's happening with the whole terrorism, the terrorist threats because of the Charlie Hebdo. They have to prioritize their own safety over a foreign country that they're good allies with, but they have to they have to protect their own people before a foreign country, and that's fine, that's fair. But people were so happy to see a foreign country pressure it, but then he just stopped and it just went to waste pretty much.
We'll see if that continues later on, I guess.
If he could sort this whole thing out, then it will. But it doesn't look like he will because he's clearly very protecting of Charlie Hebdo was right. You can draw all that.
Yeah,
that is our French policy. Because in France, you're allowed to speak about your religion.
Islamic community in Lebanon will not find him. Yeah, they won't be satisfied.
That's one thing. When he did accept it, there were actually a lot of Muslim riots. But I think they're over now because people notice we've got bigger shit to worry about here. Oh, I don't know if they're over, but there were high Muslim protests that I don't really want to say this, but made Lebanon look like a country like Iraq, which it isn't, right? It's a Christian. I'm not saying this in I'm not saying this in a rude way, but what I'm saying is Lebanon is different to these other Middle Eastern countries, right? We've got Christianity and Islam. We've got mountain ranges with snow. We've got all this. So it looking like Iraq or some shit doesn't kind of show how the country is, but I see why they're protesting. It's completely justifiable. It's completely I get why they're angry, but so all this just protest in the country, and then with some people leaving, it's just fucking the country. I get the protest, I get people leaving, I get people upset, but change starts with the people.
Yeah, I guess
the people, there's no change.
The people are leaving are people who have got, I guess, businesses and have.
Oh yeah, they've got money. They've got money. They can leave.
All that money leaving the Lebanese economy, so that's pretty bad.
But that money, at the end of the day, a lot of it's being robbed by the government anyway. So it's kind of I can see why they're leaving. They want to protect their own money. But when I say we're not like other Middle Eastern countries, I mean that shit. Which Middle Eastern country has this? Hold on. Chrome tab. Which Middle Eastern country has this? Nowhere. It's us. Nowhere has this shit, bro. I get France has it, but I'm talking about in the Middle East. Who has this? Who has these ski ranges? That's us.
Lebanon is one of the most beautiful landscapes in the world.
Yeah, and that's been lost.
You got from huge luscious green mountains to snow. You got everything.
Then the beaches, and then further on that, we've got a great nightlife there, right? Well, not anymore because it's fucked over because of the explosion. But we've got a great nightlife. No, explosion. They ruined the buildings.
Oh.
But and COVID obviously closed it, but a great nightlife, and it's a great tourist destination. But that all this beauty is being lost because of the government. All the blood is on their hand. It's sure, Britain and France made a mistake for leaving, but you can't blame them for what's happening in Lebanon. You blame the government because the blood's on their hands. The blood's on, like, there's people that lost kids and sons and mothers in the explosion, begging for help, and the government wasn't there. They weren't there like, we're with you, we'll find them. They didn't do that. So the bodies weren't even found. So it's kind of like, what happened to them? Obviously, they died. People knew that. But it's kind of like that angered people so fucking much that the state wasn't there to back them.
Back their brethren.
The people that should be defending them are not there. And the explosion is on the government's hand. The crisis is on the government's hand. And change won't come without them leaving. Change will come when they leave. And even these elections coming up, I don't know if that'll change anything because it's run by the state. It's just the people vote for the state.
Yeah.
But
I guess we'll have to see.
We'll have to see. We'll see what happens. But at the end of the day, the government fucked up. They knew they were breaking regulations of chemicals. I guess I don't know what's fucking called, but keeping that much ammonium nitrate is illegal. You can't have it, especially next to. I would say major city, but it's not major. Like not an international major city, but in the country.
Major city. Yeah.
In the country, it's the major. It's the capital city. Now, keeping such an explosive material next to so many people, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, look, all these mountain ranges, you can definitely build some sort of, like, bunker shit and put it there. That's safe. If it blows up, which it wouldn't, but if it did, what happens? Some trees, some trees die. Ooh, scary. But that's fine. You can just grow them back, I understand. But the only reason it's a chain reaction, right? Some firework or whatever. No one knows what it was. Set on fire. People say it's firework. People say it's but still that doesn't matter. But that's on fire. That sets off the ammonium nitrate. That blows up. That kills people and fuck the city. With people like that, you can't leave such an explosive thing for 7 years in such a dense place of people, population dense area.
Yeah,
like that's already like, come on. Yeah, like what the fuck are you doing?
That's just one example of the government's basically complete
fuck up, bro. And then when it happened, they didn't take blame. The state wasn't present to be like, shit, we fucked up, we'll help you. They weren't that. They are. No, sorry. They were to blame. They were
skedaddled. You just
like here, right? I want to show you this quickly. Sorry. This is clearly people being angry, right? That's with the poor it happened, right? Read that shit, bro.
Yeah.
People are angry because they know it's their fault. They know it's the government that did this shit. They know that this is the government. This shit here is the government.
Yeah, no, I genuinely thought that was like an assault, like that huge.
Let me play it. Matter of fact, I think it'd be useful to play it now. So let me just get that up real quick. I don't know. I just feel like they're just useful to play. If it wants to load. Can I share this? I don't know. What are you doing?
I'm just saying that I have a limit. You know how I have a limit on my computer, so I need to finish quickly. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Just this and we're done. Just this and we're done. Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's reloading in. It's not up. Oh yeah, now. Jeez.
Lord God.
I mean, look at that. I don't think people really understand the scale, because when people show kind of the scale, which the thing was, you put it in a city like New York or London, and you'll see it's huge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like,
now, luckily,
underestimate how much that destroyed Beirut.
Luckily, right? Part of it was in the ocean. Like, if it was in the center of Beirut, the whole place was gone anyway.
Yeah, basically, the center was, on the.
That's luckily. But bro, it still shocks me to this day. I was supposed to be there, right?
Yeah.
I was supposed to be in the center of that whole fuckery, but I wasn't. But like,
I mean, yeah, that was some god. You were about to go
that's what
there.
I'm saying, bro. Yeah. And then I was just ill. That was lucky. But seeing people upset on the news and crying, our son died and we don't know where his body is. We can't give him a proper funeral. Government's like, okay, fuck you. They don't do anything, and it's kind of upsetting the people a lot. And we'll see where this goes. Not well, I'll tell you this now. But we'll see what happens. We'll see where destiny takes us, I guess. That's all from me. Ollie, anything to add?
No, I must add, you've been very good.
You've done it very well.
You've been great in guiding us through this.
Thank you very much. So I guess
I'm basically like, like speakers, right?
No.
The good ones. They're here. I'm here. I'm better than you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you did
But,
pretty for 1 hour, so well done.
I mean, that's that. Who's in the outro then?
I mean, I guess that's down to me, man.
Yeah.
I hope you've enjoyed
Oh,
watching us today on the Ballers for podcast. And if you're listening on Spotify, Google, anything else of a podcast, thank you for tuning in to the podcast today. We'll be back very, very soon. Thank you for listening and
quickly, one more thing to add. No.
Okay.
Right. We don't usually say this on, but this to me is in a very important episode. Share it with your homies, right? Share it with your friends. Share it with your bitch. Share it with your cousin. Share it with your fucking dog. Just share it share it with your bitch. Share it to your bitch's friends. Share it to your friends' friends. Share it to your cousin's friends. Just share it to people because
to your brother.
People's knowledge of this topic is just down to big boom, people die. That's pretty much it. I don't want to fucking lie. So, share it. Thank you very much. That's all from me.
Yeah, so thanks very much. We'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
In a bit.